So guys, Bitcoin's crashing, sitting at 94,000. Altcoins are ripping up right now. Everyone is talking about how right now you should not be selling your altcoins. Others are talking about how this could be a fake out with Bitcoin dominance. But overall, I want to talk about the specific indicators that you need to be focusing on, the sentiment based on the markets, and what you should be doing with your altcoin positions. Other than that though, if you're new to my channel, go ahead and check out the rest of my content. I'm an intermediate trader documenting my journey since 2023, showing you guys my wins, my losses, showing you guys the specific indicators and focus that you need to, shift your sentiment towards, as well as the sentiment around the crypto market, specific altcoins, as well as what you could be and should be doing right now. Overall though, right now, specific indicators around Bitcoin dominance and the total 2 chart are pointing to the fact that altcoins are about to explode, but this could be potentially a fake out, and I want to talk about it right now. So overall, let's go and jump into the data. So guys, like I said, Bitcoin broke down today, sitting at around 94,000. It is getting ready for something big. Bitcoin dominance is starting to break down. The total 2 chart is starting to build up, and also people are keeping up with the ETH Bitcoin chart, just because once we see a flipping start to happen, that's whenever we can start to see the liquidity for altcoins start to go parabolic. And overall right now guys, I am really focusing on the Bitcoin dominance chart as well as the total 2 chart, and we talked about it in yesterday's video based off of the previous cycle and the deviations that we saw before the huge rip up, but I'm going to cover it again right now and then jump into the perspectives around dominance and overall what you should be doing with your altcoins. But yesterday we talked about how, if we look at the total 2 chart back in the 2021 cycle, I want you guys to focus over here. We saw a huge rip up for altcoins, right? And then we saw a deviation point. Everyone thought this was a huge, peak out for Bitcoin dominance, which we'll jump into with Benjamin Cohen's post. But overall, everyone thought this was the whole set for altcoins. And then we deviated down quite nasty, and we returned all the gains that we started receiving, and then from there we actually started to see the huge rip up for altcoins. Now you can correlate this with the Bitcoin dominance chart. Man, I hate these ads so much. I need to freaking go pro already. Overall though, that's why you guys need to drop them likes and comments. We're trying to get monetized on here. But overall, back to the chart, we also saw that with the Bitcoin dominance chart. It shot up like crazy, and then it started to break down. Everybody thought with altcoins, this was it. Bitcoin dominance peaked out and it's breaking down. But then we saw Bitcoin dominance start to shoot back up, surpassing the peak that we saw in the previous month. So guys, that is currently what happened with the total 2 chart. And then from there, altcoins started ripping down, and then once dominance actually started to reverse and break down, then altcoins got the liquidity that they needed to shift up. Benjamin Cohen talks about this in a post today, which I thought was very, very interesting, and I think you need to keep all perspectives in mind. He says, to be clear, there is a chance that Bitcoin dominance has topped, which guys, everybody, if you look up Bitcoin dominance, everyone is talking about how Bitcoin dominance has already topped out, and overall altcoins are just going to start ripping up from here. But overall, he says, to be clear, there's a chance that Bitcoin dominance has topped. Since it hit 60%, it makes sense to be open-minded about the top being in. Just reminding people that anything is possible, as the dominance rally in December of 2020 took many by surprise. And he goes on to give the timestamps of what we saw in the previous cycle, which I just covered right now. He says November 2020, everyone thought Bitcoin dominance had topped. December 2020, everyone realized it had not. And in November 2024, everyone thinks Bitcoin dominance has topped. December 2024, it's going to be told. All right, so overall in the next few weeks, we're really going to really see exactly if Bitcoin dominance has peaked out, or if that was a general fake out and altcoins are going to get squeezed again, and then Bitcoin dominance starts to shoot up. Based off of the previous cycles, guys, I hope that we just start to rip up. But even Crypto God John talked about it on his post yesterday, that overall throughout the cycle we're going to be seeing deviations. It's going to happen, pumps and dumps, and whenever that happens, it's your chance to jump in to the altcoin rally and get in if you haven't been in. But overall, based on this chart, guys, I think this is going to be a fake out with the dominance. I think dominance might jump up and then start deviating the way that it is, and then I think it's actually going to rip up and peak out at another point, mainly as we've seen in the previous cycle in December, more than likely leading into 2025 in Q1. Overall though, same thing with the total 2 chart. I think everything's ripping up right now, even with altcoins. My portfolio, if we look at everything for the 7-day, everything is up very, very significantly. It's exceptionally the freaking AI coins are going parabolic. They're doing exceptional numbers right now, and this is where I'm very, risk adverse and wondering, could we potentially be seeing a deviation? And Benjamin Cohen's talking about how based off of this, everyone should be keeping all of these different things in mind. The fact that we did peak out for dominance, and the fact that we could be seeing some more crazy numbers around that Bitcoin dominance chart. 360 Trader right here says check volume November 2020 and November 2024 faulty comparison. It says I didn't say the top couldn't be in, just be open-minded to other outcomes. Like how I said, this could be the top, and I honestly am not going to be selling. I'm going to give my whole perspective at the end of this video, but overall right now, everyone needs to keep in mind that, yeah, we could be peaked out for Bitcoin dominance, but also we may not have peaked out yet, and we could be seeing a squeeze for the altcoins, especially since they've been rallying super freaking hard. Johnny goes on to say, selling your on-chain bags right now is like blacking out at the pregame and not making it out to the party. Zach says, I see absolutely zero reason to sell any on-chain bags. ETH is pumping a bit and on-chain is ripping, and ETH isn't even back to $4,000. Imagine then, even if we get a pullback, it's just another reason to load up more, in his opinion. Alex Becker goes on to say, superior trading strategy for 99% of you would be locking in your bags, then locking yourself out of all trading accounts and going on a 6-month no screen drug and booze bender, then coming back and smashing sell of the next year. And everyone has a perspective on what you should be doing, and many Coles and influencers are saying that you should not be selling your bags. But this is where the little Cole comes in and gives you his perspective on exactly what he's doing, especially, from the sentiment of all retail traders still working a 9 to 5, understanding how the day-to-day person thinks. Right now, guys, we're seeing a crazy rip for our altcoins, and as a result, I'm getting really skeptical and really wondering if this is going to be too much for the markets, and to the fact that we start to see a squeeze, especially when liquidity starts to shift back into Bitcoin. We've seen it multiple times up to this point in this 2024 crypto bull cycle, and even Crypto God John has been talking about how we see deviations all the way up to the top, so they're inevitable. But like Alex Becker says, he thinks that the best thing that you should be doing is just trading, not trading at all, investing into those projects that you really love, and then coming back in the next 3 to 6 months, and then from there selling. Johnny even also says that there's no point in selling right now. He thinks that you're actually missing out on the main party, and overall, if you're selling right now, it's practically like exiting yourself before the huge actual rip begins. Zach also talks about how with ETH pumping, there's no point in starting to deviate backwards or de-risk. But that's their opinion. And overall, guys, this is where I shove all the data and everything else to the side and give you my perspective on what's going on right now. If you have a high position, like one of my positions is up 100% right now, I'm going to be waiting until the end of the week, maybe even till next week after the holidays, to see exactly how the price action is going on around our altcoins, around Ethereum, that total 2 chart, as well as Bitcoin dominance. I'm going to be keeping up with all these indicators, as well as you should be looking at these specific indicators, and I'm going to be dropping videos based off of how I feel, the sentiment in the market, as well as what is going on with those indicators. But what I'm thinking right now is I kind of want to take off 20% of my top position, and then from there, if we start to see deviations, I can get back in, and more than likely, if these return, from those 100% returns that we've been seeing, then I could be potentially getting in at double the amount. But if we don't deviate lower and I took out 20% and we start to rip up higher, then I missed out on potentially, 100% more that I could have got just based off of how specific altcoins are ripping. Some of them are going up 100% within that 7 day. What if they do it again and again? Then you really miss out on all those gains. So my perspective right now, if you do not know how to time these things, and most people do not know how to time these things, the best thing to do is allocate your funds to these top performing projects that you really believe in. I recommend the AI and the meme sector because they are top of mind share. Overall, you're going to do really well, and you shouldn't be focused on the dips, because dips are going to be happening, and whenever they happen, you should just double down on your positions, take it into consideration, and also be happy that they dipped, and then from there be able to double down on your positions and increase your average cost. Decrease your average cost. And as a result, you're gonna do better than most people that are trying to trade, get in and get back out, get out and get back in. And overall, right now, that's kind of what I'm thinking. I want to take off some of my position, especially if it jumps up another 200%, 300%. Why wouldn't I take out some? Now, this is a perspective around taxes. I saw a great post talking about how a lot of people start to try to de-risk from there, take out some gains, and then from there also gamble around with that money. And then whenever the next year comes around and taxes are in place, you don't know what you're doing and you got your thumb up your butt because you don't have the money to pay for your bills. And now this all varies just depending on where you're at, but I'm located in the United States, so it's super key to keep in mind all of these tax things that are going on, especially if I consider selling a good amount of my portfolio, which that is going to be taxable. And then from there, if I start to funnel back in, you know, we have all of these different things that are going to be on my 2024 tax return, and then from there moving into 2025, all this different stuff, which we get into a whole nother video. But right now, that's my perspective. I'm thinking of de-risking, but I'm going to let the markets do what they're going to do, just because we could be ripping much higher, and I don't want to de-risk too soon. So overall, with all that being said, let's go ahead and jump through all the indicators, the perspective on the markets, and then I'm gonna give you a quick synopsis of what I'm going to do. Right now, Bitcoin broke down to around 94,000 today, which you know, everyone was kind of anticipating, especially with altcoins ripping super hard. We're seeing a liquidity shift. Bitcoin dominance is starting to break down as well, which is why we're seeing a price action around Bitcoin, even though Bitcoin more than likely is going to be breaking 100,000 within the next few weeks before the end of December. But this is pointing to the fact that, you know, everyone is saying the peak for Bitcoin dominance is in, but this is where I implore you to start looking at previous cycles whenever we started to think we saw that peak, and then the deviation, and then the actual peak. This is super key, guys. Same thing with the total 2 chart. We ripped up super hard. We thought that that was it, when in reality that wasn't it. We deviated lower, then we actually saw the peak, and that's what I feel like is going on right now. Everyone is also keeping up with the ETH Bitcoin chart, which is also another important indicator, but overall I'm more focused on Bitcoin dominance and the total 2 chart, just because they actually show what has happened in previous history. Same thing with ETH BTC, but this kind of gives us more of a correlation with our altcoins and everything. Now, Benjamin Cohen talks about how, you know, everyone thought, you know, Bitcoin dominance had topped out in November 2020. In December 2020, they realized that it had not. And right now, we are in the same position. And he talks about how, you know, Bitcoin dominance could have potentially peaked out, especially since it hit that 60% mark. But it's always great to keep in mind other perspectives, just because if you don't, you'll be caught by surprise, and you know, you're really gonna be hurting. Crypto God John says you should not be selling your bags right now. He says it's like blacking out at the pregame and not making it out to the party. Zach also is talking about how he sees zero reason to sell on-chain bags, just because ETH is pumping a bit, on-chain is ripping, and ETH isn't even back to $4,000 yet. Alex Becker also gives his perspective on how if you're just, you know, a retail trader trying to make as much money, you shouldn't be trying to jump out and jump back in, jump out and jump back in. That's not what you should be doing. A superior trading strategy for 99% of people would be to lock in your bags, then locking yourself out of all your trading accounts. I don't recommend that, and going on a 6-month no screen drug and booze. But the whole point of what he's saying is just invest, look away, and then come back in 6 months, because more than likely you're going to see a whole bunch of dumps, and pumps. But overall, you're going to be out on top, as opposed to everyone trying to trade all these things. Right now, altcoins are ripping very significantly, mainly the AI coins, and I've been talking about that on this YouTube channel around specific altcoins. But right now, guys, as a result, many people are starting to take profits. Many people are starting to shift out into specific, you know, projects, just based off of how mindshare is revolving around different sectors in the markets. And also, people want to potentially de-risk if we start to see, you know, that rip down. But the consensus mainly on Crypto X is that this is it. Altcoins are about to start ripping. We're about to start seeing crazy valuations. And honestly, I am super pumped for it. I'm really ready. That's why my perspective right now is I am thinking about slivering some of my gains off the top to potentially roll them back in if we see that huge deviation take place that we have been talking about. But what I'm worried about is if we start to rip up much higher and I de-risk too soon, then I miss out on all of those gains. On top of that, you also have tax reasons, especially if you're not, in a country where you have, very lenient tax laws around cryptocurrency. If you start to take those profits and want to roll back in, whenever you're doing your taxes next year, you are going to have to pay on those profits that you took. So right now, guys, it's really key to really determine what you want to do and your perspective on the markets. But keeping up with these specific indicators is really going to be, super key to understand exactly where we're going to be going and how altcoins are going to be affected, as well as Bitcoin. Right now, though, that's currently my perspective, as well as the indicators that you need to be focusing on, as well as the perspectives on crypto Twitter around Bitcoin dominance and altcoins. If you're new to my channel, go ahead and check out the rest of my content. I'm an intermediate trader documenting my journey, showing you guys my wins, my losses, keeping you guys updated on specific indicators and charts that you need to be focusing on, and then giving you guys a consensus of the perspectives in the markets so that you can have an understanding of what's going on. Right now, Bitcoin dominance is breaking down. The total 2 chart is ripping up. Altcoins are ripping up. Bitcoin is kind of crashing a little bit, and everyone is pointing to the fact that altcoins are going to be ripping. But this is where I implore you to do a little bit of research and understand the different perspectives, just because we still could be seeing deviations, just because they always happen. But guys, if you're new to my channel, go ahead and drop me a comment, like, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think of my content. I really do appreciate all the support. We are actually finally now halfway to getting monetized, which is 2,000 hours of watch time. I need to get a 4,000 hours, so I appreciate all the times you guys watch my videos. Drop me those comments, likes, perspective on my perspective, as well as just recommendations around my content and stuff like that. Though this is a really interesting time. I hope you guys are locked in. I hope you're keeping up with the right indicators, and I drop daily content every day, so I'm gonna keep you updated with all this stuff and what you need to know. But overall, let's make them gains, and let's not get squeezed out, and let's hope that we are gonna see some crazy stuff in the next few weeks. But overall, just stay tuned and we're gonna find out. Peace.